Fellas, I'm gonna be a little cringe right now, and none of you can judge me. I love Pokemon. Ever since I played Pokemon Ruby back in what had to be, at the latest, summer 2018, also known as 7 goddamn years ago, holy shit, I've been a huge fan of the franchise, with my love for it growing even more a year later when I got this thing with these things for Christmas. Obviously, now I have this thing, and it is so much better. Oh my god, the camera controls on this thing, I don't know what the deal was. Look for yourself. What is happening here? Since then, I've obviously played a lot more Pokemon, but I mean, I've done other stuff too. For example, I have survived a global pandemic. I've traveled across the world to the heart of Rome. I'm currently living through a fascist takeover. Not really something to be proud of, but it's happening, I guess. And, oh, I got Taco Bell last week, but none of that compares to my greatest achievement. Finally getting my hands on the Studio Series number 38 Voyager class Bumblebee movie Optimus Prime action figure, which I've been looking for ever since I saw it at Target as a child a literal decade ago. Oh, and Fearsome Freaks too, I guess. In all seriousness, though, creating Fearsome Freaks and developing these characters and this world and all of the ideas that come along with it has been, to say the very least, incredibly creatively rewarding for me. So, with Pokemon recently celebrating its 30th anniversary, and this channel being in its earliest stages, subscribe, I figured, why the hell not, you know? Why not let my two hyperfixations come together? Why not force myself to consider the ramifications of a Fearsome Freaks Pokemon AU? Why not take these two worlds and try my hardest to put together Well, as it turns out, there are a few reasons. See, the world of Fearsome Freaks is weird. Go watch the Elyonics video if you want to learn more about that. The gist of it is that Fearsome Freaks has cryptids and mythical monsters and, you know, just normal-ass animals. And Pokemon just has Pokemon. Well, I mean, technically there are also Ultra Beasts, and those categorically aren't Pokemon. They're kind of like extra-dimensional Pokemon. Let's not argue semantics, okay? This is hard enough. This means that when putting this video together, I had to overcome a couple dilemmas, with one dilemma in particular being bigger than the rest. Now, Vanter, buddy, I'm talking to you specifically. You, at whoisvanter on youtube.com, who has made some incredible concept art and literally, like the day before I'm filming this, put together this little animation of Craig, which is so adorable and so peak. Oh my god. Everybody go subscribe to this guy right now. Vanter, I'm sorry. I really, really am. But your two favorite freaks, Craig and Daisy, are not here. Yeah, I know, okay? Hey, look, they're the fan favorites, I get it, I know. Believe me, I understand. I'd be pissed too. In fact, I am pissed. This sucks. This really does suck. Okay. Yep. I get it, okay? I understand. Okay, shut up! Thank you. Let me explain. I already made a short about this, but Craig is literally 1 year old in Chronicle 1, which is what I'm basing these off of, obviously. And also, you know, he's a little blob guy. Meanwhile, Daisy is a border collie. In this Pokemon AU, she would be a Pokemon, like a Herdier or a Boltund or a Lycanroc or something. And it's like, yeah, she's smarter, but then we're getting into category of like Pokemon training other Pokemon, and it's weird. It's just weird. So I decided to just leave them both out of the video altogether. Don't worry, you will get your fill of them very, very soon. Hopefully. But, I mean, look on the bright side, right? This means I only have to talk about 4 of the 6 freaks, which means this video probably won't be over an hour long. Yippee! But, okay, with that out of the way, let's finally get into the... So, for each of our freaks, Ray, Rosie, Lester, and Pauly, I will be assigning teams of 6 Pokemon, with 4 honorable mentions because I couldn't help myself. Each of them will start off by getting 1 of the 30 currently existing as of March 2026 fully evolved starter Pokemon, and go from there. I'll provide a little bit of info on why I made each choice, whether it be for Pokédex entries, or lore reasons, or just aesthetics, or whatever. I swear the explanations will be brief. Most of the explanations will be brief. Okay, roll the title card, editor. Let's do this. Now, any normal, rational human being would take one look at Ray and go, Noivern. Bro obviously has a Noivern. And, like, I wouldn't blame you. In fact, Noivern probably was, at least subconsciously, an inspiration for Ray's design. But, and here's the crazy part, no. See, if you watched the last video, you already know that Ray hates himself. Ray is depressed. Ray doesn't feel like he deserves to be happy. So, yeah. The last thing Ray would want is to have to look at something that looks like him. And yes, this means that in the show proper, Ray absolutely hates bats, and that's pretty goddamn funny. So, no Noivern. Instead, Ray's team starts with Decidueye. Both are nocturnal. Probably, I'm pretty sure it'd be weird if Decidueye wasn't. Bro's literally an owl. Both can fly, obviously, and both have pretty good eyesight. Both are also incredibly fast, as seen in Decidueye's Ultra Moon and Shield Dex entries. Decidueye can knock and fire an arrow at an enemy in 1/10 of a second, so its battles are decided in the blink of an eye. In 1/10 of a second, it can knock and fire an arrow quill, piercing an opponent's weak point before they notice what's happening. Now, Ray can't use a bow and arrow, but he is stupidly fast. And more than that, the two kinda act similar. Like, listen to Decidueye's Moon entry. Although basically cool and cautious, when it's caught by surprise, it's seized by panic. That's Ray all the goddamn time. Especially around Rosie. It is very cute. But, okay. What about the rest of Ray's team? Well, before Ray became what he is, he was a talented young virologist. Long story short, he was trying to develop a cure for some of the world's deadliest diseases. An experiment went horribly wrong, yada yada yada. He has wings now. So when crafting Ray's team, I wanted to keep his field in mind. After all, in this AU, Ray caught and trained this team before he became the Laredo Devil. With that in mind, here's what I ended up going with. First, there's Paris. The mushrooms on its back haven't fully grown yet, so there's a chance the little guy can be cured. Plus, Paris would help Ray study different kinds of harmful parasites. Next, there's Umbreon. Yeah, I know, I just said Ray doesn't have a Noivern because it looks too much like him, and Umbreon has the same red eyes and black fur, but listen, okay? Umbreon is also nocturnal, and it also looks a lot like the Laredo Devil. Just, you know, minus the wings. So, in this AU, I think it'd be kinda neat if Ray's Eevee evolved into Umbreon the same night he became the Laredo Devil. I think that'd be kind of cool. Then there's Slowking. Obviously, Slowking is really smart, so they'd be an excellent lab partner. But more than that, listen to Slowking's Sword Dex entry. Miraculously, this former Slowpoke's latent intelligence was drawn out when Shelter's poison raced through its brain. I don't know about you, but it sounds to me like Slowking's intelligence came from some kind of virus passed onto it by Shelter. By studying his Slowking, Ray would be able to figure out how some viruses affect mental capabilities, or some shit like that. Next, there's Duosion, which is literally just a big and admittedly adorable looking cell going through mitosis. You know, science-y stuff. Ray loves it. But more than that, its shield entry says, its brain has split into 2, and the 2 halves rarely think alike. Its actions are utterly unpredictable. Huh. That sounds a lot like Ray's relationship with his Laredo Devil personality. What a coinky-dink! And finally, before the honorable mentions, we have Scoville. Like Duosian, it's got 2 heads, and thus 2 personalities, just like Ray. But more than that, I like to think they remind Ray of his 2 older brothers, who were always bickering with each other. Or the peppers his papa used to grow in their garden. Or the homemade meals his mama... Anyway, as for the honorable mentions, I've been on Ray for way too long, so I'm gonna go quick. There's Fortress, because Ray keeps to himself and doesn't like letting others in. There's Miltank, because he used to work on a farm with cows. There's Shifttree, because of the story about how Shifttree was transformed into some guardian of the forest, with Ray being something like that before joining the freak show. And there's Swadloon, because like Ray, he is a sad little guy who desperately needs a hug. Rosie time! So, right off the bat, which I'm just realizing right now is incredibly clever, Rosie's starter is Primarina, and it really wasn't close. Primarina is, yes, the most feminine of all of the fully evolved starters, but there's more to this pairing than just, you know, woman. Both love performing, even though Rosie's kind of being forced to perform by the Fristelbaums. They both like singing, even though Rosie really sings a lot less than Primarina does, really only to Craig. And both balance being graceful and strong at the same time. You know, girl boss shit. Also, giving Rosie and Ray 2 of the 3 fully evolved Alola starters is very cute, okay? Leave me alone. As for the rest of her team, I looked for the main attributes that define Rosie's Azel, so leadership, perseverance, femininity, protectiveness, and of course, agility. So first up, there's Rosemary. Obviously. Its Pearl entry says, with the movements of a dancer, it strikes with whips that are densely lined with poisonous thorns. Movements of a dancer sounds pretty damn close to acrobatics, and strikes with whips sounds a lot like how Rosie uses her titular ribbons, both in performance and in combat. Also, it's kind of based on a masquerade, which is highly associated with, like, wealth and superiority, and Rosie does come from a rich Hollywood family. It works. And then, you know, as a little bonus, there's the fact that the thing literally has Rose in its name. It's on the team. Next up, there's Lopunny. Not only do its patches of blonde fur kind of resemble Rosie's blonde hair, but its sword entry says, Lopunny is constantly monitoring its surroundings. If danger approaches, this Pokemon responds with super destructive kicks. While Rosie mainly fights with her ribbons and, you know, just her general acrobatic and contortionistic abilities, she will take any excuse she can get to kick someone in the face. And potential spoiler for the show here, especially if that someone is a Nazi. But more than that, this entry also highlights Rosie's general protectiveness of her family and how even if she herself is put in danger, she will do anything to keep them safe. Moving on, Mienshao. This one's pretty simple. It's fast, it's acrobatic, it's graceful. The little bits of fur on its arms, I don't really know what to call them. They kind of remind me of Rosie's ribbons, and its face is saying, I can kick your ass and not even break a sweat. So again, girl boss shit. Next, we have Sylveon. Other than being majestic as hell and, frankly, goated, Sylveon is incredibly empathetic, just like Rosie. It can easily understand the emotions of those it cares about. And wait, how does it do that again? Well, let's check its Ultra Moon entry, shall we? Sylveon wraps its ribbon-like feelers around its trainer's arm because this touch enables it to read its trainer's feelings. You're shitting me, right? It's ribbon-like feelers? It's perfect. It's literally perfect. Next one. Editor. Next one. Okay, fine. I also think giving Ray an Umbreon and Rosie a Sylveon is adorable, okay? What do you want from me? It's fucking cute! And lastly, there's Spidops. I wanted to have at least one member of Rosie's team that shows off why she's considered a freak in the first place. That being her quadruple jointedness. Yes, Rosie is usually the acrobatic angel who's gracefully walking on the tightrope and swinging around the tent with her ribbons, but she's also a contortionist who can twist herself to fit into pretty much anything. She literally has twice the amount of joints as an average human being. Spidops, to me, represents that the best. Look at this. Look at this little guy. He gets too much hate. I'm gonna say it. Look at him. He's just a little dude. Also, it can kind of shoot its string out of its arms. And that kind of reminds me of how Rosie uses her ribbons to, like, swing around. It's a stretch, but whatever, it's on the team. Also, a stretch. I promise, I didn't even mean to do that one. That was off the cuff. I'm a genius. As for honorable mentions, we have Hitmonlee because Rosie likes to kick things, Furret because of her ability to fit into tight places, Gardevoir because of its beauty, its femininity, and its just overall protectiveness, and Golett because of both her strong connection to her Jewish faith, and Golett kind of reminds her of Craig. Lester time. Lester's starter, just like Rosie's, wasn't even a competition. Why? Because he's crazy. And every crazy person has the same favorite Pokemon.
What's the best Pokemon? Infernape! Yes!
Yeah, seriously though, it wasn't even close. Infernape moves like Lester, it kind of acts like Lester, it can get out of hand like Lester. Infernape is Lester if Lester was a monkey on fire. In fact, out of all of these guys, and Rosie, Lester's team was maybe the easiest to nail down. That's not to say there wasn't thought put into his team. In fact, there was probably too much thought. It's just that Lester isn't that complicated. At least not on the outside. You'll see what I mean. First, Cubone. Lester is an orphan, so is Cubone. I mean, one of Cubone's earliest Dex entries in yellow says, "Where's the skull of its deceased mother? Its cries echo inside the skull and come out as a sad melody." Damn. But where Cubone actually remembers and misses its mother, Lest doesn't remember his hardly at all. Or either of his parents, for that matter. Those assholes dumped him at Gray's Home for Boys when he was only 3 years old. They didn't give a shit about him. So, because he doesn't remember them, he doesn't miss them. But Cubone does. Next, we have Scyther, and this one is less depressing. Lest's main weapons are his pair of knives, and Scyther literally has knives for hands. Then there's Vigoroth, and similar to Infernape, this one is like nearly identical to Lest. Maybe even more than his starter. This thing does not stop moving. I am not exaggerating when I say Vigoroth is if ADHD was a Pokemon. Look at this. It's Emerald Dex entry. It can't keep still because its blood boils with energy. It runs through the fields and mountains all day to calm itself. If it doesn't, it can't sleep at night. That's just Lester on a daily basis. And then we have Mime Jr., who is literally a tiny little clown that thinks they are the funniest thing to ever exist. It's pretty easy to make the connections here. Lastly, there's Watchog, and this one kind of surprised me. Initially, I just thought they'd fit with Lest because of the glowing eyes. When Lest's Senelli Mania kicks in, his eyes kind of spiral and glow with blue and yellow. Think like Ka from the Jungle Book. Watchog's eyes aren't identical to Ka's, but they're close enough. But then I read Watchog's Black 2 White 2 entry. Using luminescent matter, it makes its eyes and body glow and stuns attacking opponents. Watchog's eyes don't just light up because they're in a silly, goofy mood. They light up as a defense mechanism. And it's so deeply ingrained that they don't really even notice it anymore. Anyway, honorable mentions are Spoink because Lest loves to, jump on his pogo stick. Shuppet because of the eyes that look a lot more like Lest's eyes than Watchog. But Watchog just works better for Lest, so it made the cut and Shuppet didn't. And then both Pancham and Impidimp because of Lest's childish nature. Pauly time. Starting off, Pauly has Meganium. Because of course he does. This adorable dinosaur has been absolutely chastised by the Pokemon community for, frankly, way too long. It gets so much hate all the time because it can't fight, or it's the worst Johto starter, or it's just a dinosaur with a flower around its neck. And to that, I say no. Meganium is not just a dinosaur with a flower around its neck. It's an adorable dinosaur with a flower around its neck, damn it. And if the Pokemon community is not going to show this thing the love it deserves, then Pauly will. But as you might expect, there's a little more to this pick than that. For example, Pauly is a massive pacifist, just like Meganium. Its Ruby and Sapphire entry says, the fragrance of Meganium's flower soothes and calms emotions. In battle, this Pokemon gives off its becalming scent to blunt the foe's fighting spirit. So yeah, they're a perfect match. But they're actually such a perfect match that I kind of want to expand on this a little bit. I want to follow this Meganium philosophy with the rest of Pauly's team. What do I mean by that? Well, Pauly is incredibly strong, and frankly, he could probably take down any Elyonic by himself without even really trying, if he wanted to. But, like Meganium, he's not that much of a fighter. In short, I want the rest of Pauly's team to be strong, but in a more protective way. And the first Pokemon that comes to mind when I think strong but in a protective way is, of course, Blissey. Not only is Blissey infamous for being all defense, no offense, but its Ruby Sapphire entry says, Blissey senses sadness with its fluffy coat of fur. If it does so, this Pokemon will rush over to the sad person, however far they may be, to share an egg of happiness that brings a smile to any face. To be honest, this was the first Pokemon I gave to Pauly, and for good reason. Next, there's Altaria. Pauly likes to look up at the clouds and listen to the birds. Altaria is a bird with clouds for wings. It's too easy. Also, Altaria loves to sing, and Pauly loves to play his harmonica. In fact, our next member is Kricketune. No, I am not kidding. Not only is it a cricket with Pauly growing up in the mountains of West Virginia, being all too familiar with those, but it's a musical cricket. Pauly is easily the most musical of the freaks by far, and his team should kind of reflect that. With Altaria and with Kricketune, it does. Then I gave Pauly Audino, basically because it's another Blissey. Its shield entry says, this Pokemon has a kind heart. By touching with its feelers, Audino can gauge other creatures' feelings and physical conditions. Maybe it's a little basic, but you know what? Pauly gets all the healers. And lastly, we have Beware. Now, you may be wondering why, after all of these more sweet, gentle, sensitive picks, I'd choose Beware for Pauly's final team member, especially when this is its Sun entry. This immensely dangerous Pokemon possesses overwhelming physical strength. Its habitat is generally off limits. Well, I'd ask you, dear viewer, why Beware is considered dangerous in the first place. The reason can be found in its Sword entry. Once it accepts you as a friend, it tries to show its affection with a hug. Letting it do that is dangerous. It could easily shatter your bones. Beware is dangerous because its hugs are too strong. Or they're too strong for most people. But not for Pauly. Beware can give Pauly as many hugs as they want. Pauly's honorable mentions are Ludicolo because of his musical side, Togekiss because they kind of embody peace, Mudsdale because of Pauly's incredible strength, and Tinkaton because big hammer. Let's wrap this. And that's it. See, this wasn't another movie, right? Right? Hey. Editor ends here. No. This was not another movie. Thank God. If you made it this far, thank you so much for watching. It genuinely means the world. If you want to check out the last few videos to get a better grip on what Fearsome Freaks actually is, I mean, go ahead. I'm not going to stop you, but avoid the first video, please. It's so bad. It's genuinely so bad. I'm gonna remake that one. That's the next video. The next video is both my 100 subscriber special, where I reveal the full first rendition shit, I didn't do the thing.
First rendition
Of the Fearsome Freaks pilot script, and it's also kind of a remake / revamp of that first video because, oh my god, it's so bad. Do not watch the first video. It has 300 views. Over 300 views. Stop. Like, don't watch it. Don't watch it. Please. I'm begging. Also, Brainstorm Pictures has a Twitter, a Blue Sky, and a Tumblr where you can ask about the lore, suggest lore ideas. Here's the playlist for the lords, if you don't know what that is. Suggest video ideas. Just go follow them. We also have a Discord where I update you guys on, the status of Fearsome Freaks as a project and, the channel as a whole, upcoming videos. It's kind of like a behind-the-scenes sort of thing. And we also share art and writing and animation, and I really only do the second one. I'm not good at the other two whatsoever. Most of the time, we just kind of mess around. Just go join the Discord. It's pretty cool. Also, you know the drill by now. Like, subscribe, leave a comment of what you want to see next. Please, I am slowly but surely running out of video ideas. Please. Hopefully, I have the next video up on the channel in another month. That's April 14th. Mark your calendars. Tell your friends. Please subscribe. If you want to help bring Fearsome Freaks to life, I have an email linked with everything else in the channel bio. I always need more artists, more researchers, more writers, more just whatever. But that's about it. Happy 30th anniversary, Pokemon. This has been a Brainstorm Pictures production. Bye-bye!